G'day shredders, I'm back. I'm sorry I've been away for a little while. I've been flat out making my latest course, Effortless Shred. So today I'm going to show you the secret weapon I use to learn anything and everything that I ever learn. Whether it's some complex neoclassical solo or a Green Day song, this is the process I use to learn it. And I believe that if the information is presented well enough, just about anybody can learn just about anything. Now the secret weapon is this, an app called Transcribe. So what does it do that's so special? Well, it allows me to not only slow songs down, but allows me to loop them. This is really important when you're learning to play a piece of music, because I'm guessing most of you do what I used to do, and you just use YouTube. And every time you make a mistake, you drag the slider back manually. When you're trying to transcribe a lick or you're trying to rehearse a lick, that can be incredibly tedious, especially if it's not a repeating lick or riff or phrase. So today, I'm going to show you why this app, or any app that's similar, is a must-have for your guitar playing. Now, personally, I believe that whenever you're learning a new song, whether it be a riff or a lick or a solo or anything, that you should do everything to make it as easy as possible for you. Now, in my experience, this is something that almost all guitarists fail to do. Instead of chopping our food up into nice little bites, we tend to get the whole turkey and stuff it in the mouth in one go and wonder why we have musical indigestion. I see it every single day that I teach in-person guitar lessons. We make it hard for ourselves because that's how we're wired. We think that we can just take a whole 3-bar phrase and just do it in one go. But unless it's really, really easy for you, that's probably too much. It definitely is for me. Believe it or not, I'm a very slow learner. When it comes to learning anything new, I've always been way slower than everybody else. But what I loved about guitar and music is that it's still easy to learn even if you learn more slowly. Because unlike sport where you've got a bat and someone's throwing a ball at you, and you just have to react in a split second, in guitar, you can slow everything down. And you can roll out the red carpet for your brain to make all the information very smooth and easy to put in your brain. What baffles me about this is that it seems the average learning guitarist doesn't understand this. If you approach learning guitar from this perspective, then it's inevitable that you'll have success. But if you approach it from that more aggressive sports mentality where you've just kind of got to get in there and hope for the best, then for most of us, it's going to be a struggle. Now, if you take whatever song you're learning and put it in an app like Transcribe, it's almost like an unfair advantage. I remember once I showed this app to 2 of my students, and then a week later, they both came back, and the song they were working on, they played perfectly. It's like they'd tripled in guitar ability over the space of 1 week, because they took the song away and they were able to teach themselves how to play bits of the song. And when you do that, you absorb all of that into your own playing. Now for me, this app has 2 main purposes. One, transcription, to teach yourself how the song goes. And the second purpose is looping. This allows you to take what you've learned and gradually increase the speed until you can play it at full speed effortlessly. So every song you've ever seen me cover, all those EVH songs and all that neoclassical stuff, every single time it's been this app that has allowed me to play those songs at that level. Now, instead of just telling you what to do and saying, off you go, figure out the rest, I thought I'd take you through step by step how to use this to work out a solo, and then how to loop it to get it to full speed. Now, if you're interested in learning to shred and learning to play with ease, then my new course, Effortless Shred, is for you. And you can save by bundling it with my other courses, Shred Like Ed and Swedish Shred Secrets. Check out the link below. All right, so for today, I needed a piece of music that I didn't know how to play. And so I asked my friend Matt Doyle if he could send me a clip of one of his solos. So I've downloaded the audio, but I've also downloaded the video. So this is really cool because if you download the MP4 of a song, you can actually just drag and drop it into Transcribe. All right, so let's have a listen. So this is a cover of the Phil Collins classic, In the Air Tonight. So you can see it's not wild shred, but it's still quite a sophisticated solo. So it's a good example for us to dive into. Remember, you can try this stuff on any style you like, everything from death metal to flamenco. This process works just as effectively for everything. All right, so I might just take the first phrase and I'll grab a bit on either side too. I'll zoom in a bit. And I'll slow it down. Now we've got the luxury of having the visual along with it, so I can see what Matt's hands are doing, but this is definitely not essential. You can still work all this out by ear. It just means you're not going to be guessing whereabouts on the neck he is. All right, so I'm hearing da na na. Let's find that note. All right, so we're in the key of C minor. Although I think he's a bit lower on the neck. And from listening to a bit of the song earlier, I suspect he's actually tuned down by a semitone. So he's actually thinking C sharp. But rather than tune our guitar down to match, I might just leave ours in standard tuning. Ba-ba-da. Alright, so now we've kind of got the first phrase going. I'll just expand it a bit and we'll loop it a few times. Alright, so let's move to the next chunk of the solo. Alright, so that's enough for me. The average guitarist would attempt way more than that, but I just want little itty bitty chunks for my slow brain to absorb. Ah, interesting. Okay, looking at the video, his hand's actually moving up. Okay, then we've got something interesting going on. So you can hear that we've got two notes ringing at once. And on guitar, you can really tell when there's two strings ringing at once because you get this fuzzy, jarring kind of sound happening. So whenever you hear that in a solo, you know something like that is going on. Alright, so I think I've kind of got the first lick happening. So at this point, I just want to go through and make sure I can play it perfectly, either before I move on to the next part, or I look at speeding this one up. Alright, a bit hazy about the end of it, so I'll just have a few more listens. Alright, so looking at his hands, I think he's doing this, that kind of movement. Awesome singing, hey. So licks like this are actually quite hard to learn. The notes are not that difficult, it's the rhythm. And so you want to stick with it until you're comfortable with the rhythm and you kind of have it internalized. So it's really good just to let it play a few times and sing along with it and make sure that your singing lines up rhythmically. Don't worry too much about the pitch, it's about the rhythm. Because if you can't sing the rhythm you're trying to play, then you're going to really struggle to play it. And then we're finishing off with a nice little... So I should do that a few more times, just get really bulletproof with it. And then we can maybe go back to the start. Da 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 And so what you really want to do is get to a checkpoint. So rhythmically, I look for a beat 1 where maybe the phrase ends, or an obvious point that the phrase ends, to kind of box up that part of the solo. It's just one phrase. And then basically just go through the whole solo that way and chunk it down into kind of mini songs. Because the amount of data, for any of you out there who say it differently, the amount of data in any, 2-bar phrase is enormous. There's so much going on. What are the notes? What are the pitches? What are the rhythms? Are there double stops happening? What about vibrato? What about pick strokes? There's all this stuff to comprehend. And so the less you're happy to do at any one time, the higher the quality it's going to be. All right, so let's see how it ends. All right, so I've put a marker down on beat 1 of the next bar. So we're just going to aim to work out up to there for now. All right, so we did that bit before. All right, so that little lick at the end, it's not that hard, but it actually is hard. It's hard for the brain to adapt and absorb it correctly. So at this point, what I'll do is go back and try and remember how the rest of it goes. Because memory-wise, the brain is doing a lot of work here. So rather than go from the start and then try and remember how the end goes, go from the end and then start adding in bits before it. Maybe a bit slower. And once you get it right for that first time, the worst thing you can do is move on. Think of it like you've finally just got it by a thread. Now you kind of want to reel it in and get a solid grip on what you're playing. Notice as well in this solo, Matt's excellent use of very few notes. So Matt is a wonderful guitar player, obviously, but he really specializes in blues. And blues players have a knack for making a few notes sound like a lot of notes. The same way a singer does. When a vocalist sings, they don't go, they're not all over the place like that, generally. Instead, they stay within a certain area and really milk it. And the ear likes that. The ear hears that and goes, that sounds like singing, and I like singing. Whereas guitar players tend to think like, and we're kind of jumping around the place, whereas more restrained players can really hit you in the feels because they're focused on playing melodies rather than just wild licks. Now, obviously, if you already have the tab to a song and it's reliable, then you don't need to work it out by ear. But you do need to take all the notes from the tab and link it up. But with the tab comes a caveat that you have to memorize everything that's in the tab. Now, when Eddie Van Halen went to perform Eruption every night, he didn't get the tab book out. Instead, he had it memorized. So if you want to be able to play like any of those players, you got to memorize what they're doing. And this is a great way of doing that because it's kind of like you're ironing in the correct way to play it every time you do so. Now, the same goes for mistakes. If you repeatedly make the same mistake, you're going to bake that in too. So be careful. The reason this is so much better than using that iTunes player or that YouTube player is that you're going at a speed slow enough where you can actually think about what you're playing and you're far less likely to make mistakes. You play along at full speed, guaranteed you're going to be baking in a ton of mistakes unless you are God's gift to guitar. So at this stage, I just want to make sure I can get through this whole chunk. And it might mean that every second time I just listen so that I remember how it actually goes, because every time I play, I'm kind of taping over it. I'm playing over the top of it. And if there's something I'm missing, then I'm far less likely to pick it up that way. So let's have a listen before playing. Da 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 da. But my memory gets a bit hazy around that last bit, so I might go back to that. All right, I think I got it. I'll try the whole thing again. All right, so I've forgotten how the last bit goes. So that's pretty normal because I've just tried to perform the whole thing through. But I should just go back, play the last bit perfectly, and then gradually add before that. All right, and back a little bit further. Yay, I got it. And now we'll sneak in the bit before. All right. So my first successful playthrough. So at this point, what I'd want to do is do a few repetitions nice and slow, just get really comfortable with it, and adjust the speed depending on what I need. Sometimes things are just too slow and they're bogging you down. In that case, speed it up. But if there's too much going on, then one of the best things you can do is slow it down further. So let's try that. And there's a few moments where I'm a little bit nervous. So mentally, I'm kind of leaving a sticky note, a post-it note, reminding me, make sure to play on the beat here, or remember to use this finger for this part. Any little note that you need to leave for yourself to make it easier next time, do it. Just make sure you're not making any mistakes and then baking them in every single time. When you make a mistake and you think, I'll get it next time, you're almost never going to get it next time. So make sure just to stop and fix it. And then go from the bit before and make sure that you flow into it nice and smoothly. Now, once I've done that a few times, I might go on and then do the rest of the solo in chunks. Maybe I do them in a different session, or if I do them in the same session, I'll make sure just to do those bits and not do the first bit as well. Treat it like you're learning separate songs, and then when you're ready, you can start to combine them. But for the purpose of today's video, we're going to treat that like it's the whole solo and we've learned it. So now the fun part, because we've done the hard work of actually learning it correctly, and kind of stapling all the bits into place and sculpting out our pathway to be nice and smooth, now we have the easy part of looping it until we can play it fast. So one of the big advantages of looping is that you don't have to take your hands off the guitar. So when we play guitar, we get into flow state. And when we're trying to nail something, we're going to do better at it if we're in flow state. Now, one of the best ways to yank you out of flow state is having to take your hands off the guitar, find the mouse, and control the mouse and find the stop button, drag the playhead back and press play. So that's a big interruption. If we can just leave it looping, we don't have to take our hands off the instrument. And this has the added benefit of being able to get in more repetitions per minute. So the old method, you'd be stuck at full speed, which is way too fast for most people depending on what you're learning, and it won't give you as many repeats per minute or per hour, and it's all those repetitions that's going to build up your muscle memory. Playing a solo perfectly 50 times slowly is a whole lot better than playing it 10 times fast, especially if there are any techniques in there that are foreign to you. Maybe there's economy picking or sweep picking, or if there's something difficult about it, the best thing to do is play it slow. Right, so let's do that a few more times. 1, 2, 3. Now at this point, it's fun to take it and start speeding it up, then slowing it down again. Doing the 2 steps forward, 1 step back approach is really good. So let's try 70% and see if we can keep up. And then it's good to go slow again. So what I'm really looking for is how comfortable do I feel? If you get that kind of, that sense of anxiety, like, you're walking on a tightrope, then you don't know it well enough. You might get it right, you might get lucky. That doesn't mean that you should take it and then speed up with it. It means you need to spend more time slow, more time marinating in it, and making sure you feel very familiar with it, like it's Happy Birthday or something. You want it to feel as familiar as the easiest song you've ever learned. Here's a simple rule to keep it in check. If it's not easy for you, then you're doing too much of it, or you're doing it too fast. If you obey that rule and adjust accordingly, then you'll find you start creating really healthy guitar habits. Then your fingers will start obeying what you want them to do, rather than overstretching yourself and hoping for the best. All right, let's try it at 90% just for fun. I think that felt okay, but I might do it slow just to be safe. Now you might be playing it slow, rolling your eyes going, this is so easy. Fair enough. But if you're thinking that way, then chances are your vibrato's probably not very good, your rhythm's not very good, and there's a bunch of flaws that we could probably find in your playing. Maybe the strings are ringing out, or maybe your picking motions work slow, but they won't work fast. In my experience, there's always something more to work on. And the longer you're willing to spend playing it slow, the higher quality the result will be when you go to play it fast. But you have to make sure that you're doing things like the correct pickings if it's a fast thing. If it's slow, it doesn't really matter. But if you're using incorrect pickings and incorrect fingerings for, say, a really fast run, then when you get up to speed, there's no guarantee that that's going to work because it's different to what the original artist is doing. Now, sometimes you can deviate from what they're doing and it will still work, but just be wary that if you're consciously deviating, you could be training yourself to play it wrong. And Lord knows that any guitarist worth their salt has done that more than a few times before. It's just that if you can avoid it, that's best. It's fine to make mistakes and then have to go and do surgery and fix them, but the best case is to avoid them altogether. All right, let's try 100%. So you can see the pieces starting to come together. Now, just because you can play it at 100% doesn't mean that tick, you've nailed it. It just means that once you're very warmed up, you can nail a small portion well once. Now, say you finish playing this and you go have lunch. The best thing you could do when you come back to the next session is pretend you've never played it before and go through these steps again. You won't need to go through them anywhere near as thoroughly, but it will help to ensure that you remember how to play everything correctly and that you're building on those Lego bricks. If you do what many of us do and rush back after your sandwich, or you rush back the next morning expecting to play at full speed, almost always you're going to be hopelessly disappointed. You're probably going to forget a bunch of stuff and it's going to be a sloppy mess. So go back into it gently and ease into it. And then when you're comfortable, you'll find that you're not only back up to speed, but you actually learn it more deeply, because when you go to sleep especially, what you learn during the day kind of gets saved and reinforced into the hard drive. And you keep doing that every day, and it's just a matter of time before you're able to play whatever you're learning at a high level. All right, shredders, so that there is the process that I use to learn just about anything. And once you take all these hacks and apply them to your own playing, you're going to become a much more intentional, coordinated player. It's going to help you learn to shred a lot easier as well. And speaking of shredding, don't forget to check out my course, Effortless Shred. This course delves into the philosophy of playing fast and the things you need to do to encourage your hands to play fast with ease. Shredding isn't about fighting the instrument and trying, it's about shaping your muscle memory so that your hands do what they want to do really quickly. So the course is 19 hours long and it features 80 lessons on all the core shred techniques, including alternate picking, economy picking, sweep picking, tapping, legato, and even rapid fire licks. But this course isn't just going to teach you how to shred, it's going to teach you techniques that you can apply to any style of music. It's going to make your guitar playing more efficient, more intentional, and more impactful. So check it out in the link below. All right, shredders, thank you for watching. Check out one of these other videos.